My husband
am a
teaches
former
us how to do that.
Gotta laugh down through
Just
anything.
sometimes a little humor
Get your
can
story
you
out.
through.
Oh, hang on. Sorry, everyone. I promise I'm funny. I found out I was going to lose my uterus in a parking lot in Glendale. Yes, Glendale, home of Little Armenia, white BMWs, and the Americana, or as I call it, the Grove 2 Electric Boogaloo. And not just any parking lot, the parking lot of Elaine Bryant, the only store that can handle both my H-cup boobs and their emotional baggage. When the doctor recommended a hysterectomy, I thought I was going crazy. I didn't actually think it was going to happen. I made jokes waiting for my biopsy results about how, in the worst case scenario, I would have a goodbye uterus party, complete with balloon banner, uterus cake, and of course, uterus piñata. But now, instead of a healthy relationship with my newest paramour, I was in It's Complicated with my uterus. And hysterectomy has the root word hysteria, because in Victorian times, they removed uteruses to make women less hysterical. Because, men are such calm and rational beings. Growing up, I was always labeled as crazy. In my mind, I was the perfect 90s eccentric / manic pixie dream girl. I wrote poetry, wore broomstick skirts, and of course had ADHD. The world saw me differently. I knew this high school year when I sat in Dan Massimini's 1978 El Camino, desperately wanting him to kiss me. He called me crazy. The only thing I remember after my heart shattered was the CD in his dash. Oasis's What's the Story? Morning Glory. Oasis was so dysfunctional that one of their charted singles in England was of the Gallagher brothers fighting. Maybe you like Crazy Dan. My anxiety diagnosis didn't come until about 2 years ago. 3 things saved my life: The Good Place, Stardew Valley, and drugs. Buspar, to be exact. I don't hide that. In fact, on my second date with a sexy high school band teacher, we were at dinner and I pulled out my small metal pill container. I think he thought it was Coke. Instead of getting demure and sheepish, this neurodivergent pulled out her soapbox. I have anxiety, and that's okay. Mental health care is imperative to our society, and I am not ashamed of my Buspar. Apparently, that's great foreplay, because the sex was amazing. When I started getting abnormal pap smears, my doctors refused to listen to me. After all, they're doctors, and I'm fat. I found a gynecologist to cut off the diseased piece of my cervix, and after that, I thought this part of my life was over. In March, I told sexy band teacher how my most recent pap was normal because I hadn't heard anything from the doctor. He smiled, kissed me, then got the writing crop. Literally the next day, she called to tell me to come in for a biopsy, but said it was probably just an over-anxious lab technician. Over-anxious? I got a bottle of Buspar. I'll share with class. 3 weeks later, though, I was in that parking lot and shortly after broke the news to friends and family. For many, it was like seeing a giant overflowing volcano and actually seeing a zit. It's not so bad. Do you really need all that? You'll be back to work in 2 weeks, right? I am having a body part removed, not going to Mexico for a boob job, clearly. The worst one is, you're so strong. You'll get through this in no time. With all the biopsies and prep, I'm still 5 months out from surgery. I have anxiety. That's 150 days, 1,000 worries each day minimum. Might as well be 525,600 worries. I have too much time. The hardest part, though, was telling my father. My mom had a hysterectomy and died 7 years ago from breast cancer complications. I am his primary caretaker, and with my sister living away, it's me and him against the world. He is so sweet, a loving and compassionate man who everyone wants to be their dad too. When I hurt, he hurts. But I am a woman about to lose her uterus without her mother. He feels helpless. And when he does, I do too. On top of medical maladies, my real world still existed. A full-time job with big projects, car troubles, dad getting sick with COVID. Not to mention sexy band teacher lost his job and would be moving away, meaning the soon-to-be end of our relationship. This so-called zit is infected. There were distractions. My birthday, a booze cruise to Mexico with 21 of my closest friends, and of course, being with my sexy band teacher while I still had him. When I initially told him about the hysterectomy, I breathed deep, texted him that we needed to talk, and spit it out. His response was, "Oh, I thought you were going to yell at me because I'm bad at communication." He is the man I fell in love with who lets me be my weird self, who plays multiple musical instruments, myself included. I didn't care if I was going through hell. As long as he was there, I'd be okay. And soon, he'd be gone. My anxiety was peaking and my panic attack starting to return. I was popping my emergency Ativan like candy just to function. I didn't want to tell him, but one day he texted me and asked me how I was. At first I was hesitant, but decided not to lie anymore. To my surprise, he said, "You can always come to me when you're anxious." Why would you say that? Do you know what my brain is like? Half the time, I'm delusionally thinking I'll get famous enough to meet the Muppets. The other half, I don't even think you like me. Also, you're moving away and will probably find someone much less problematic. Why would I tell you when I'm anxious? But then, I thought of a month prior. On the cruise with my friends, I was crying at one point. Several of the girls pulled me into their room to calm me. They had never seen me break down, and they had known me for over a decade. "You can always come to us. We love you." It was a chorus echoing in my ears while puzzling my mind. I'm precancerous and crazy. Why would you stick around? After all, when my mother was first diagnosed with cancer, she was told, as many women are, that despite their 46 years of marriage, my father was likely to leave her. Maybe this is why when I'm anxious, I retreat. Try not to let anyone see me when breaking down. I don't want them to reject and abandon me, like Dan Massimini in his 1978 El Camino. But my father didn't leave my mother. He was with her until she died. My friends didn't abandon me when that happened either. They saw me and loved me despite the pain. It was never Reina being crazy. It was about me going through things and my own personal gang of Muppets pulling me out. These next 5 months will be excruciating, but it doesn't matter when the right people are by your side. So in the meantime, I'm waiting for my hysterectomy date and planning my goodbye uterus party, adding fun ideas as I go. Maybe I'll get Oasis to headline? Who knows? Crazier things have happened.